There is a strip of ocean on this planet less than 30 kilometers across at its narrowest point. Roughly 1/5 of all the oil the world burns has to pass through it every single day. Close it, even for a week, and your gas price, your grocery bill, and your country's next inflation report all move. It is happening again right now, in 2026. But this was never really a story about one strait or one crisis. It is a story about a flaw built into the entire global economy, one almost nobody thinks about until the ships stop moving. Every day, hundreds of oil tankers cross the world's oceans, feeding refineries, power plants, and gas stations on every continent, and the entire system quietly assumes those routes will always stay open. A small handful of narrow passages carry a wildly disproportionate share of that oil, and whoever can threaten one of them holds leverage over the whole world economy. In this video, we break down exactly how these choke points work, why the same handful of them keep coming back in a crisis decade after decade, and why this is not a headline that gets solved. It is a permanent weak point in how the planet moves energy. Welcome to the Money Current. Chapter 1. What is a choke point? In global trade, a choke point is any narrow passage where shipping has no real alternative route, or only a route so much longer and so much more expensive that it barely counts as one. Energy economists watch a short list of these more closely than any oil field on the planet. The Strait of Hormuz, the Bab-el-Mandeb Strait, the Suez Canal, the Strait of Malacca, the Danish Straits, the Panama Canal. Most days, they are completely invisible. Tankers pass through, oil arrives on schedule, and nobody outside the shipping industry gives them a second thought. But slow the flow through even one of them, and the effect moves through oil prices, shipping insurance, inflation reports, and interest rate decisions, thousands of kilometers away, for people who have never heard the place's name. Chapter 2. The Strait of Hormuz. The most important of them sits between Iran and Oman, the Strait of Hormuz. At its narrowest point, the shipping lane is only a few kilometers wide, and through that lane flows oil from Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Iraq, and Iran itself, historically around 1/5 of everything the planet consumes. There is no real detour. A few pipelines can carry some of that oil over land instead, but nowhere close to all of it. So when tensions between Iran and its neighbors rise, as they have again through 2025 and into 2026, the strait stops being just a regional flashpoint. It becomes a lever that can be pulled on the entire global economy. Tankers slow down or reroute, insurance costs spike, and an oil market that prices in fear just as fast as it prices in barrels reacts within hours. Chapter 3. The Second Front. Here is what makes the current situation different from the scares before it. It is not one choke point under pressure, it is two at once. At the southern mouth of the Red Sea sits a second strait, Bab-el-Mandeb, connecting the Gulf of Aden to the Suez route toward Europe. For years this was treated as the safer backup, the detour oil could take if Hormuz ever became too dangerous. Then armed groups based in Yemen started targeting tankers here as well, and the backup route began closing at the same time as the main one. Analysts who track both corridors together now put close to a quarter of the world's oil supply at risk from these two choke points simultaneously, something with almost no precedent in the modern era. When the main route and the backup route are both compromised at once, there is no pressure valve left. Chapter 4. What happens when a choke point tightens? From here, the mechanism is almost mechanical. Less oil moving through a choke point means tighter global supply. Tighter supply means higher prices, and by 2026, oil has already climbed past levels not seen in over a year. Higher oil prices raise the cost of almost everything that has to be shipped, manufactured, or heated, and that shows up a few weeks later in inflation data. Central banks are then stuck with an ugly choice: raise interest rates to fight that inflation and risk slowing down an already fragile economy, or hold off and let prices keep climbing. Either way, a conflict thousands of kilometers from your home, over a strip of water most people could not find on a map, ends up shaping your mortgage rate, your rent, and how far your paycheck actually stretches. Chapter 5. This has happened before. None of this is new. The world has lived through oil shocks tied to these same waterways before, in the 1970s, in the 1980s, and in smaller scares in nearly every decade since. Each time, the crisis eventually passes, shipping resumes, prices ease, and the world moves on, until the next flashpoint reminds everyone that the fix was never permanent. That is the part rarely said out loud. These choke points are not a temporary risk waiting to be solved. They are a permanent structural weak point, built into how the entire global economy moves energy. The countries involved change, the specific conflict changes, but the vulnerability itself never actually goes away. Chapter 6, The Takeaway. So the next time you see a headline about a strait you can barely pronounce, or a tanker attacked somewhere you have never been, understand what you are actually looking at, not an isolated news story, but a pressure point wired directly into the plumbing of the world economy. A handful of narrow waterways, controlled by no single government, capable of moving your cost of living whether you ever notice it or not. Global trade runs on the assumption that these passages stay open. History keeps testing that assumption, again and again and again. If you want to understand how the hidden mechanics of the global economy actually move your money, this is exactly what this channel breaks down. Subscribe to the Money Current, because the currents that move the world economy are rarely the ones on the front page. If this kind of story is worth your time, hit like and drop a comment below. It genuinely helps this channel grow. And if you want more deep dives like this every week, subscribe now. It's free, and it's the best way to support the channel.